As the city of Atlanta celebrates Black History Month and the civil rights leaders who called Atlanta home, there is a year-round effort to make sure Atlanta's Black history is remembered every day of the year. 11 Alive's Naima Abdullahi has more as part of our Voices for Equality series.
At the intersection of the past and present are pieces of nostalgia that could fade away if not preserved. Dr. Skip Mason calls it Vanishing Black Atlanta, and he's made it his mission to save that history by any means.
I started my Vanishing Black Atlanta Facebook group back in 2012, just out of sheer boredom.
And then the Facebook group grew, now to 40,000 members, all sharing pieces of history from childhood memories, old buildings, and Black voices that helped shape this city. Dr. Skip Mason, who is also a reverend and a community leader, has become a distinguished archivist that facilitates important conversations about Atlanta history on and offline.
Atlanta, of course, has not fared well in preserving its historical sites. We have torn down churches to build stadiums. If we don't talk about it, if we don't preserve, if we don't memorialize it, then it remains vanished.
One of his initiatives is to inspire historic markers throughout the city to show what vanished and what can be remembered. This is his message to city leaders who can make that happen.
Be intentional and direct in ensuring that the African American historic sites have a voice.
What started as a space for just photos is now a discussion forum for issues that impact Black communities throughout the metro.
When we talk about gentrification and we talk about homes being lost by taxes or foreclosed or elderly people not being able to take very good care of that, it creates an emotion.
And long after February ends, Dr. Mason says the work continues to show the power and resilience of Black history in this city.
But in Atlanta, it's 365 days, 24/7 that our history is important.